Welcome to Crypto Journal. If you value brutal truth about institutional games and why your altcoins don't pump despite massive news, hit like right now. Let's expose the coordinated suppression. Uphold holds over $100 million in ZBCN. Circle Ventures backed Zebec seed round. Coinbase Ventures invested $35 million. World Mobile partnered for 2.1 million users. MasterCard powers zero-fee cards. Ondo Finance integrated RWAS. Yet ZBCN trades at $0.003, down 60% from highs, despite partnerships that would make any project 10 times. Today, we're exposing why institutional partners deliberately suppress ZBCN's price, the conspiracy hidden in MICA compliance timelines, why keeping retail out benefits Circle, Coinbase, and upholds long-term positioning, and the exact catalysts that will end suppression and trigger 300 to 500% moves when institutions can't hold price down anymore. This is 20 minutes, revealing the game institutions don't want exposed. Let me start with the smoking gun that proves intentional suppression. Uphold announced September 23rd, 2025, they're revealing major institutional partnership the next day. Price should have pumped 30 to 50% on partnership hype. Instead, ZBCN barely moved. Then the partnership reveal happens. Still nothing. When institutional partnership announcements don't move price, that's not market forces. That's coordinated suppression by the very partners making announcements. Here's why this is conspiracy, not incompetence. Uphold holds $100 million in ZBCN according to verified June 2025 reports. That's 36% of ZBCN's $275 million market cap controlled by single entity. When one institution controls over 1/3 of market cap, they dictate price through strategic order placement. Uphold could pump ZBCN 100% tomorrow if they wanted. They choose not to. Why? Because Uphold benefits from low prices during accumulation phase. They already hold $100 million, but their endgame isn't $100 million at 0.003. It's $500 million to $1 billion at $0.02 to $0.05 after MICA approval unlocks European institutional capital. To maximize that position, they need ZBCN suppressed now while they accumulate more, then pumped later when regulatory catalysts can't be suppressed. Now let's examine the MICA timeline conspiracy. Zebec announced pursuit of MICA approval target year-end 2025. They completed SOC2 in September 2025. They're targeting ISO 27001 by December 2025. These aren't random compliance milestones. These are strategic gates that prevent European institutional capital from entering ZBCN until Uphold, Circle, and Coinbase finish positioning. Here's the pattern. May 2025, ZBCN rallies 298% on Science Card acquisition and XDB chain integration. Peak $0.007. What happens next? Institutions distribute into retail FOMO, hammering price from $0.007 to $0.003 over following months. Spot CVD declined 32% since May, despite MasterCard partnership, World Mobile integration, Kraken listing, and SOC to completion. When CVD, cumulative volume delta, drops 32% while massive positive catalysts occur, that's institutions systematically selling into every rally. They're not selling because fundamentals deteriorated. They're selling because they want retail capitulation before MICA approval arrives and they can't suppress anymore. Let's examine each positive catalyst and why institutions suppressed price response. MasterCard partnership, zero-fee card in 26 plus countries, 150 million merchants, Apple/Google Pay. Comparable announcements pump projects 40 to 60%. ZBCN barely moved. Who was selling? Uphold, who holds $100 million. They distributed into partnership hype, then hammered price lower to accumulate at discount. World Mobile partnership. 2.1 million daily active users, 60,000 nodes, Zebec Net eSIM across 70 plus countries launching fall 2025. This gives Zebec immediate distribution to millions. Projects announcing access to 2 million users typically pump 50 to 100%. ZBCN stayed flat, then declined. Again, institutional distribution disguised as profit taking. Kraken listing. October 15th, major U.S. exchange, institutional access, wealth advisor platform. Historical Kraken listings drive 20 to 30% immediate rallies. ZBCN rallied 21.6% pre-listing, then volume dropped 34% within 5 days post-listing. Who was selling? Institutions completed distribution cycle using Kraken liquidity. SOC2 certification, September 2025. Enterprise security compliance costing hundreds of thousands, taking months. Projects announcing similar certifications maintain elevated prices. ZBCN, price decline during and after certification. This is deliberate suppression, not market rejection. Here's the conspiracy timeline that reveals institutional coordination. 2021, Coinbase Ventures, Circle Ventures, invest seed round $35 million. 2021 to 2024, build infrastructure quietly, processing $300 million annually by 2025. May 2025, Science Card acquisition triggers 298% rally to 0.007. May to November 2025, institutions distribute into retail FOMO, price drops 60%. September 2025, SOC2 completed, MICA pursuit announced November 2025, price suppressed to $0.003 despite continuous positive news, December 2025, MICA approval expected, suppression ends, markup begins, Q1 2026, European institutional capital floods in, retail FOMOs at tops, the conspiracy isn't hidden. It's documented in price action contradicting fundamentals. When every positive catalyst gets sold, when 21,000 new wallets created in 48 hours, fastest since January rally, but price drops when exchange supply declines, but price doesn't respond, that's coordinated institutional suppression. Now let's talk about why Circle and Coinbase specifically benefit from ZBCN suppression. Circle Ventures holds significant ZBCN, according to official May 2025 statement. Circle manages USDC reserves through BlackRock. Circle's parent company, BlackRock, managing $11 trillion, doesn't make 3 to 5 year bets on projects they want pumping in months. They position for infrastructure that becomes essential when regulations solidify. Zebec uses USDC exclusively. Circle Alliance Program certification, May 2025. When Zebec processes $300 million annually and scales to billions through MICA approval, that's billions in USDC transactions generating revenue for Circle. But Circle doesn't need ZBCN pumping yet. They need ZBCN infrastructure maturing, compliance completing, and European adoption ramping. Then price catches up. Coinbase Ventures invested 2021 expecting 3 to 5 year returns, not 3 to 5 months. They're halfway through expected hold period. They don't need price pumping during infrastructure build phase. They need Zebec becoming one of few MICA compliant payment protocols with MasterCard partnership and 70+ country coverage. Then when European regulations force exchanges to delist non-compliant tokens, Zebec captures massive market share. Here's the retail expulsion conspiracy. Institutions want retail selling in frustration. How do you get retail to sell cheap? Suppress price despite good news. When MasterCard partnership doesn't pump price, retail thinks fundamentals don't matter. When Kraken listing doesn't sustain rally, retail thinks manipulation. When SOC2 doesn't move price, retail thinks dead project. They capitulate. Institutions accumulate their supply. This is psychological warfare perfected. Retail expects immediate price action from catalysts. When catalysts don't move price, retail assumes something's wrong, but nothing is wrong. The suppression is the strategy. Institutions accumulate infrastructure for enterprise adoption taking 12 to 18 months, not 12 to 18 days. Let's examine the September 23rd institutional partner reveal, specifically because this exposes the game perfectly. Zebec announces major institutional partnership coming tomorrow via Twitter. Crypto Twitter buzzes with speculation. Retail expects massive announcement. Next day arrives, partnership revealed, and price barely moves. No pump, no sustained rally, just sideways. This was test to see if retail would FOMO. When retail didn't bite, because they've been burned by previous suppressed rallies, Institutions confirmed retail capitulation is complete. Now they can position for final accumulation phase before MICA approval unlocks real buying pressure they can't suppress. Here's what the tokenomics reveal about institutional strategy. ZBCN has 100 billion total supply, 95 billion circulating, 57.88 billion locked. With supply this large and significant percentage locked, thin trading supply enables easy manipulation by large holders. Upholds $100 million position, represents approximately 34 billion ZBCN at current prices, 36% of circulating supply. When they want price lower, they sell small amounts into thin order books. Price drops, retail panics, sells, uphold buys back lower plus absorbs retail supply. Net result, uphold increases position, retail loses money, price stays suppressed. Rinse and repeat until MICA approval arrives, and suppression can't continue because European institutional buying pressure overwhelms manipulation capacity. Now let's talk about the buyback conspiracy. Zebec announced $50,000 token buyback for 50 million ZBCN in May 2025, funded by card revenue. Price surged 30% in 24 hours, 53% weekly. Retail interpreted buybacks as bullish, but institutions know buybacks in low liquidity tokens create temporary pumps perfect for distribution. When Zebec announced buyback, institutions sold into the rally. After buyback completed and buying pressure disappeared, they hammered price lower and accumulated at discount. Analysts state sustained buybacks could stabilize prices. This is COPE. In low liquidity tokens, buybacks don't stabilize. They create manipulation opportunities. Here's the Zebec Net timing conspiracy. Partnership with World Mobile announced August 2025 for fall 2025 launch, October-December. We're in November. Launch should be imminent. Why suppress price right before major product launch? Because when Zebec Net launches with 2.1 million daily active users and institutions can't suppress anymore, they want maximum position accumulated at minimum prices. Launch triggers legitimate organic buying pressure from actual usage. Can't suppress organic adoption, so suppress now during pre-launch anticipation when it's just speculation, then ride the pump when usage drives genuine demand. Let's examine what happens when suppression ends. MICA approval creates massive barriers for non-compliant projects. European exchanges must delist non-compliant tokens. Only compliant projects gain access to 450 million person European market. Zebec will be among maybe 10 to 15 projects globally with MICA compliance, SOC2 certification, MasterCard partnership, and $300 million annual operational volume. When MICA hits and European institutional capital floods into compliant payment infrastructure, upholds $100 million position at 0.003 average, becomes $500 million to $1 billion as price moves to 0.015 to 0.03. That's 5 to 10 times return on infrastructure they positioned in for years while retail sold bottoms. This is the endgame uphold, Circle, and Coinbase positioned for. Here's what retail doesn't understand. Institutional investment horizons are 3 to 5 years, not 3 to 5 months. Coinbase and Circle invested 2021. It's 2025. They're halfway through expected hold. They don't need price pumping yet. They need infrastructure mature, compliance complete, regulatory clarity arrive, then price catches up violently. Current price 0.003 doesn't reflect post-MICA reality, where ZBCN becomes one of few compliant payment protocols with MasterCard global acceptance, 150 million merchants, World Mobile distribution, 2.1 million users, 70 plus countries, SOC2 enterprise security, MICA European compliance, ISO 27001 certification pending, 300 million annual proven volume. When suppression ends, likely December 2025 with MICA approval or Q1 2026 with Zebec Net launch, expect 300 to 500% moves as institutions can't hold price down against legitimate adoption pressure. Let me be crystal clear what we're not saying. We're not saying this is proven conspiracy. We're not saying ZBCN definitely pumps. We're not saying institutions are evil. We're analyzing patterns where price contradicts fundamentals systematically, and institutional incentives align with suppression strategies that maximize long-term returns. What we are saying, documented evidence shows institutions control 43% plus of supply. Uphold alone holds 36% market cap. Every major catalyst gets sold. CVD declined 32% despite positive news. Retail sentiment bearish while institutions accumulate. And MICA approval in 4 to 8 weeks represents catalyst that can't be suppressed because regulatory compliance unlocks institutional buying they can't control. The current price doesn't reflect value. It reflects where institutions want to accumulate before catalysts they can't suppress trigger markup. Tomorrow could be lower. December could test $0.0025. But eventually, when MICA hits, when Zebec Net launches with 2 million users, when European institutional capital floods compliant infrastructure, price will catch up explosively. Now you understand why ZBCN doesn't pump despite massive news. Not because fundamentals don't matter, but because institutions benefit from keeping retail out during accumulation. You understand Uphold's $100 million position is strategic infrastructure positioning for post-MICA markup. You understand why every catalyst gets sold. It's not market rejection, it's distribution into retail FOMO followed by reaccumulation at lower prices. If this conspiracy analysis revealed institutional games you weren't seeing, smash that like button. And if you want exclusive intelligence on identifying suppression versus genuine market weakness, click join, select the Plan Club membership, and get insider institutional game theory analysis. Drop a comment, accumulation phase or dead project. I read every comment. Let's see who understands institutional strategy versus retail narratives. See you in the next one.